Morning, everyone. It's Joe Waxman, and I'm back with another video. This morning, I want to look at the chart of renowned actress Angelina Jolie. Yesterday, I did Brad Pitt, so I was like, okay, let's look at Angelina and see what she's got going on. They're obviously not together anymore, but they were a thing for quite a while. So let me share my screen. All right. So she was born June 4th, 1975, 9 a.m. in Los Angeles, California. She was born exactly 1 year and 1 day right before me. Interestingly enough, she's the daughter of actor Jon Voight. Yeah, and she got interested in acting by watching his films. What else? All right, so she's a sun in Gemini and Mercury in Gemini, 11th house. So 11th house deals with groups, networks, career success, income, popularity, things like that. Gemini obviously is the expression, communication. And so, yeah, Gemini is very prominent in anyone in speaking, writing, communicating, acting. You're going to see Gemini or second, third house significations, and Sun ruling the second house, Gemini being the third sign. So we're still getting second, third. Mercury's ruling the third house in the 11th. And this is also a combination for wealth, second and 11th houses mixing, connecting, right? And she was actually the highest paid actress for like several years or something like that. And she's hugely successful. I mean, that goes without saying, you know. She's been in a lot of movies. She just kind of has, she just has a certain thing going for her. I mean, looks, she's got the looks. Venus is exactly conjunct the ascendant, and that is very powerful especially for women, for just being like, beautiful, right? But Saturn's also here from the 12th. It's still conjunction. It's 11 degrees, and people are like, no, 11 degrees is too far. No, it's not, especially for Saturn. Something like Saturn is a huge planet. It's very influential. I have Saturn 11 degrees from my Mars. I know for a fact it's still conjuncting. Significance here, especially for her looks, is that, yeah, Venus is good. It's pretty and all, but Saturn is actually going to enhance her looks even more, because Saturn's going to have that, that touch of nuance that takes it to the next level. It's primarily beauty, especially because she's a woman. Venus is feminine. Saturn is more masculine and dry, and it's going to give her that exotic look, a little bit of contraction that really sets it off, that really makes that Venus even more something, and that's why she has the look. She has it, that factor of somethingness, right? Her moon's in Aries. It's conjunct Mars in Aries. Mars is the ruler of Aries, and Jupiter. Moon Jupiter is excellent, and we see this quite often with celebrities, with famous people, musicians, actors, people like that, because the Moon Jupiter, I mean, they get along so well. Moon benefits from Jupiter because Jupiter is a great benefic and they're great friends. Jupiter benefits from Moon because Jupiter exalts in Cancer, which is Moon's domicile, rulership. Jupiter is exactly conjunct the MC, so excellent for career, right? And then Mars, even though Mars and Moon is not fantastic, it's quite aggressive to sensitive Moon. Mars and Jupiter is not bad. Good for physicality. Good for they just work well together. But Mars is in Aries, so Mars is in good dignity. So there is something beneficial to this Moon Mars combination, especially because Jupiter's here. Jupiter helps it. Without Jupiter, this would be much more difficult, but Jupiter really helps it out a lot. She's like aggressively optimistic, let's put it that way, and really with heart. And while I'm here, ninth house, dealing with philosophy, religion, but also foreign travels. And she's renowned. She's known for like going to foreign countries and like donating hordes of wealth to all the poor people there and adopting kids. She has 3 adopted kids and 3 biological kids. Yeah, I mean, that's, you know, that's this conjunction. I mean, it's, yeah, coming into the 10th house. So very much influencing her career, but still 9th house influence. Foreign travels, Moon is, you know, Moon and Jupiter. You know, Jupiter's more in 10th house, but still because the conjunction is coming from the 9th house, there's still some influence there. And Mars is in more in the 9th, well, not more, it's in the 9th house, but it's coming into the 10th house, still 9th house influence. So those foreign travels are definitely being influenced here. Jupiter is ruling the 9th house cusp, so Jupiter still pulling it back into the 9th. Yeah. So, and Moon is the ascendant lord, Cancer. She loves going to foreign lands and, like, you know, initiating Mars in Aries, initiating Jupiter, good, you know, beneficent, you know, generous, compassion towards the people. So like that, yeah. I mean, that's what she's known for. That's what she does. She loves going to foreign countries and like buying stuff with her massive wealth and helping poor people, right? As a child, she had a bit of she had a lot of problems, like especially relational problems, which is typical of Pluto and Libra generation. Also, Uranus and Libra, especially when it's conjuncting her IC. Pluto's a little far, but Uranus is definitely in there. Uranus strongly relates to trauma. So she was she considered herself a punk kid with tattoos, and that's, I mean, anyone born around that, you know, mid 70s, like I was, is probably going to have a relationship to punk. Hopefully, I mean, if they're any, you know, if they're anything like me, they would. I did. I definitely did. I was in a punk band, but anyway, yeah, Uranus and Libra in the 4th house is definitely going to create issues when young, especially around relationships. Also with Pluto here, you know, she did like self-harm and a lot of drugs, and like her early acting career, she was considered like too dark. That's Pluto. Pluto's still influencing the IC, so it's still having that influence. And it's these planets, well, Uranus is square Venus and Chiron, so definitely a lot of pain here. You know, the opposition to Chiron, square Venus, square the ascendant. So her looks, her beauty, she was considered kind of an ugly duckling. When she was young, she was very thin, and she just didn't, she hadn't grown into herself yet, and she was teased a lot, at least according to a Wikipedia article I read. And so, yeah, Venus, that's the Venus square Chiron and Uranus, causing trauma and rejection. You know, Chiron's the wounded healer, rejected by his mother. So definitely deals with rejection and being an outcast, being somewhat of a reject. And Saturn also, to her Venus, is going to delay her beauty, her Venusian beauty. And, you know, it's going to also preserve it for a long time. So it takes a little while to grow into, but long-lasting beauty, because it's still influencing her ascendant and her Venus in Cancer. And she is, you know, I'm not going to deny that. She definitely has that look, right? And not to mention, Lilith is in the 8th house in Pisces, so this very watery sexuality, you know, that Lilith represents. It's also square her sun. Oh, Sun opposite Neptune is part of this T square. Yeah, Sun opposite Neptune is very idealistic, easily fooled, by the way. That Sun opposite Neptune can attract people into her. She can attract people into her life that fool her. Because Neptune is that illusion, delusion, fantasy, right? I actually have Sun opposite Neptune. So I know what that's all about. There's, always oppositions deal with relationships. So there's going to be relationships with people who are just going to take advantage of her. And she's going to have delusional, rose-colored glasses about that. But it is in the 5th house, so that is dealing with, the film career, creativity and stuff like that. Also the North Node. What else? Saturn is squared Jupiter exact, also the moon. But so that, that's difficult. Saturn is ruling the 7th and 8th house cusp, so relationships are going to be difficult because moon is the ascendant lord. Jupiter's ruling the 6th house, so there's going to be a lot of conflict and fighting. Saturn still being in the 12th is going to have an influence on her creativity and her inner mind, her spirituality, her imagination, her psyche, and especially when young, it's going to cause her troubles because Saturn's going to, it's just going to block her inner mind, and create problems for her. And she had a lot of problems when she was young. She did a lot of drugs, did a lot of, self-harm, and, the darkness got to her. And she was, strangely enough, I'm no Angelina Jolie expert. I just read the Wikipedia article. She went into embalming of the dead. What's it called? Mortuary work. Like she decided to quit acting. She was studying acting. She decided to quit acting, and she wanted to be an embalmer, which is the most darkest, God, I can't imagine anyone wanting to do that. It's just horrible working with dead people. But that's what she wanted to do. She was very dark and depressed and suicidal as a youth. That's, Saturn in Cancer, and the 12th will definitely do that, especially when it's square Jupiter and the ascendant. Square the Jupiter, it's gonna damage her enthusiasm, it's gonna make her very depressed because Saturn's gonna restrict that, and also her moon. Moon and Mars are opposite Pluto. It's a little wide, it's not, but it's still in effect. The moon opposite Pluto is oppositions to moon show relationships very much, deep inner relation, because moon is the inner heart, the emotions. It's a very personal planet, so this is going to show very personal relationships, usually with partners, romantic partners. So she's going to attract people who try and control her, also because Mars is next to the moon, right? Mars is the masculine planet, often represents men. So does Jupiter. Jupiter in a more positive way, Mars in a more, could be more negative way, potentially. But Mars is in Aries, so it's in good dignity. But Pluto, she's going to attract men who are going to want to control her and dominate her, especially with Saturn square the moon as well. Thinking about Brad Pitt, I don't really know what that relationship was like, but he could have been very controlling and abusive. She's strong. She's got that Mars in Aries. Don't F with Mars and Aries but he's pretty strong too. He's got a lot of Capricorn and Mars and Capricorn, South Node Mars. So I imagine they fought a lot. I know Mars and Aries personally pretty well. It's fierce. It doesn't last long, but when they get that anger in them, it's fierce, very fierce. No less from a woman. It's just a fierce combination. So definitely relationships are difficult for her, right? Pluto in the third probably is very good for her acting career because it's just going to make a very obsessive, like powerful expression, especially with Sun and Mercury in Gemini. Mercury's in domicile in Gemini. It's retrograde, but it's actually quite slow. It's not stationary, but for Mercury, 23 minutes, that's quite slow. I mean, Mercury can go all the way down to like 1 minute per day, but mine's at 17. 17 is pretty slow. 23 is pretty slow. So she's no dummy. She's got her Mercury in Gemini at a very slow Mercury. It's not really too close to the sun. I guess it's under the beams, but not combust. Yeah, it's got a trine to Uranus. That's good. It's not super tight, but it's still quite good for the Mercury. So she's no dummy. 11th house is also great because it's Aquarius's original house, so it's very like worldly minded, you know, thinking about social issues, thinking about others, thinking about big picture kind of things, you know, the groups at large, society at large. And she is. I mean, she's like, she adopted her first child when she was young, before she was famous, I believe. So it's not just like some gimmick or whatever. You don't. I mean, that would be horrible if she was adopting children just for show. I don't think she is. She's a Cancer ascendant. She's very motherly, in fact. Right. And I don't know what else I saw this video of her talking about like Illuminati rituals, and you know, we can jump to all kinds of conclusions with that, but who knows for real, like how what it really meant for her, how deep she's involved in it. I know some people, like I said before with Brad Pitt, like there are evil people in Hollywood, like really, really, really evil, who do horrible, horrible, horrible things. I don't know if she's one of them. I don't know that she's not one of them. My tendency is to think that she's probably on the fringes, got sucked into it, but my guess is that she's probably more genuine, but I don't really know. I don't know. So I kind of have to reserve judgment. She's got the South Node in the 11th house. So like, you know, South Node is the skills that we're born with, and 11th house is career success. Plus she got the Jupiter on the MC. So like, yeah, success is going to be natural for her. It's just going to come easy with South Node in the 11th house in Gemini. So is acting, you know. South Node in Gemini is just a natural. They're just, especially with Sun and Mercury in Gemini. I mean, she's a natural Gemini. She knows how to communicate. She knows how to think. She knows how to express herself. She's just completely born with it, right? North Node in Sag with Neptune here in the 5th house. So very creative, even as she gets older. She's not going to lose a bit of that creativity, that acting ability. It'll probably just get increase as she grows, because you know Neptune is very much about film, fantasy. 5th house is creativity, right? It's like there's a grand. No, let's see, what is it? It's a mix of water and fire, basically, but there's a lot of trines anyway. It's not really a solid, because here it's water, here it's fire, here it's fire. And that's Pallas Athena, that's minor anyway. But anyway, water and fire and a lot of trines. The square to Lilith, this Neptune, or sorry, Uranus, Chiron, Venus. It's very painful. That's probably why she was very, you know, traumatized and dark as a child, or as a youth. Also Pluto in the 3rd. What else? I mean, Chiron's in the 10th, and that's unusual. But I'm guessing that Chiron, you know, she's using her, Chiron's a centaur, like Jupiter ruled Sagittarius. So not Jupiter, obviously, Jupiter is a planet, but Sagittarius is represented by a centaur like Chiron. So there is a similarity between Chiron and Sagittarius, right? Both centaurs. And the centaur represents something higher, like a higher evolution or organic evolution. With Sagittarius, we have philosophy and teacher, religion, right? With Chiron is also a teacher. So the lower end, Chiron represents something that's rejected by the masses, something that's wounded, deeply wounded and rejected. The higher expression of Chiron is a teacher and a healer, a shaman, an astrologer, a mystic. So there's something to that effect with Chiron in the 10th, especially as she matures and gets older. She's more of that mystic, shaman, spiritual type. I'm not saying that she is all that, but there is that influence. I mean, we do get a feeling like Angelina Jolie is like this sort of, and Jupiter here is here too on the MC, like this kind of person who's going to look out for, the poor people, at least on the front. And I don't know, sometimes, we have these people who are supposedly such great humanitarians, and then they're trafficking children, behind the scenes. So, I can only draw so much from this chart and from what I read, because I can't know what they're really doing behind closed doors unless it gets exposed. So there is at least this image of being like this healer, teacher, chironic person. It's in Aries, so there's probably a lot of self-motivation. Aries is not the most compassionate sign. It's can be very devoted because it's so single-minded, so it can be devoted to a higher cause, a higher power, God, or just anything. It can just be incredibly, focused and single-minded. So it's not to say that Aries is always selfish, but it does have a very strong potential to be selfish, right? But we don't know. It could go either way. At least there's this, I think, there's a certain air and mystique about Angelina Jolie that does relate to the higher chironic representation. Yeah. What else? I think that's pretty much it. Covered all the bases here, pretty much. I mean, as you guys know, this is really just a quick study. I don't have the time to do an in-depth review. It's just a quick reading to touch the big picture. I'm a big picture kind of guy because I got, the South Node Jupiter conjunct my Mercury, and I'm very mercurial, but the Jupiter is there influencing the Mercury. So who cares? I mean, who cares? I'm Jupiterian, I'm mercurial, I'm a lot of things. Anyway, big picture, easy, quick. That's pretty much it for Angelina Jolie. I don't want to dwell too much on her. I'm neutral towards her, but I just thought she'd be interesting to look at. So anyway, guys, that's it for now. If you enjoy this content, don't forget to hit like, subscribe, and share. And if you want to book a reading, go to my website, macroastrology.com. That's it for now. Thanks. Bye.